The bus stop bench was freezing, but Sarah barely felt it anymore. At 24, she'd been homeless for 6 months, each day blending into the next in a haze of survival. She sat hunched over, her thin jacket doing little against the December snow, clutching the cardboard box that held everything she owned. Her blonde hair hung limp around her face. She stared at the ground, avoiding eye contact with the few people hurrying past. Nobody looked at homeless people. She'd learned that quickly. To the world rushing by, she was invisible. The Christmas lights strung across the street mocked her with their cheerfulness. Somewhere, families were warm, gathering around dinner tables, wrapping presents. Sarah tried not to think about her own family, about the father who'd thrown her out when she couldn't make rent, about the friends who'd stopped answering her calls when she needed help. She was alone, completely alone. Then she heard the small voice. "Excuse me, miss." Sarah looked up. A little girl stood in front of her, maybe 5 years old, wearing a bright red winter coat that was too big for her small frame. Blonde curls framed a serious face with blue eyes that seemed far too knowing for someone so young. Behind her, a man in a dark coat stood watching, his expression unreadable. "Yes?" Sarah's voice came out rough from disuse. The girl tilted her head, studying Sarah with an intensity that was unsettling. "You're cold. It wasn't a question." Sarah nodded anyway. The little girl turned to the man. "Daddy, she's cold like I was cold." The man stepped forward, and Sarah could see him more clearly now. Mid-30s, dark hair dusted with snow, tired eyes that held the weight of someone who'd seen too much. "Emma, sweetheart, we talked about this. You can't just approach strangers." "But Daddy," Emma turned back to him, her voice earnest, "she needs help, like we needed help when Mommy left." Sarah saw the man flinch at those words. The pain in his face was raw, immediate. "I'm sorry," Sarah said quietly, starting to gather her box. "I don't want to be any trouble. I'll move to a different bench." "Wait," the man said. He crouched down to Emma's level. "Baby, what are you thinking?" Emma looked at Sarah, then back at her father. When she spoke, her voice was small but determined. "You need a home, and I need a mommy. Maybe we can help each other." The silence that followed was deafening. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. The man looked stunned. "Emma," he said gently, "it doesn't work like that, sweetheart." "Why not?" Emma's lower lip trembled. "You said Mommy isn't coming back. You said she chose her new family instead of us. You said we have to take care of each other now. But Daddy, you're sad all the time, and I miss having someone to brush my hair and read me stories. You try, but you don't know the voices right." Sarah watched this little girl, 5 years old, trying to solve her father's loneliness and her own abandonment with the simple logic of a child. It was heartbreaking and beautiful at the same time. The man stood, and Sarah could see he was fighting tears. "I'm Daniel," he said to Sarah. "Daniel Foster. This is my daughter, Emma. I apologize if she made you uncomfortable." "She didn't," Sarah said truthfully. "I'm Sarah, and your daughter is very brave." "She is," Daniel agreed, his voice thick. "Too brave sometimes." He paused, seeming to struggle with something. Finally, he said, "When was the last time you ate a hot meal?" Sarah couldn't remember. "I'm fine. That wasn't what I asked." She met his eyes then and saw something unexpected. Not pity, understanding. Like he knew what it meant to be barely holding on. "There's a diner 2 blocks from here," Daniel continued. "It's warm. The food is decent. Would you let me buy you dinner? Both of you deserve something warm on a night like this." Sarah wanted to say no, wanted to protect what little dignity she had left. But Emma reached out and took her hand, her small fingers surprisingly warm. "Please," the little girl said. "Daddy makes good choices about people. He's just sad since Mommy left. But I think you're sad too. Maybe being sad together is better than being sad alone." How could she refuse that? The diner was bright and warm, the smell of coffee and bacon making Sarah's stomach clench with hunger. They slid into a booth, Emma insisting on sitting next to Sarah. Daniel ordered burgers and hot chocolate for all of them. As they waited for food, the story came out in pieces. Daniel had been a high school teacher, married to his college sweetheart. Emma was their miracle, born after years of trying, but motherhood had been hard for Daniel's wife. Postpartum depression spiraled into something darker. She started an affair with a colleague, left 6 months ago for a new life with a new family. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks ago. Emma keeps asking when her mother is coming back, Daniel said quietly, while Emma colored on a kid's menu. I don't know how to explain to a 5-year-old that her mother chose to walk away. Sarah understood that pain. Different circumstances, same abandonment. My father kicked me out when I lost my job, told me I was a burden he couldn't afford. I tried to make it work, but without references, without an address, I couldn't find work. I ended up here. She gestured to herself, to the state she was in. No other family, just him. My mother died when I was 10. He raised me alone and I thought we were close. I guess I was wrong. Emma looked up from her coloring. That's mean. Parents aren't supposed to leave. No, Sarah agreed softly. They're not. The food came, and Sarah tried to eat slowly with dignity, but she was so hungry. Daniel pretended not to notice, keeping Emma entertained with stories. The little girl laughed, a sound that transformed her serious face into something bright and joyful. After dinner, as they stepped back into the cold, Daniel hesitated. Sarah, I know this is unconventional, but I have a guest room. It's small, but it's warm and clean. You could stay tonight. Just tonight. It's too cold for anyone to be outside. Sarah started to refuse, but Emma grabbed her hand again. Please. Our house has lots of empty rooms since Mommy took all her stuff. It's too quiet, too sad. Maybe you could stay and help us be less sad. Sarah looked at this child, this little girl trying so hard to fix a broken world, with the only tools she had, honesty and hope. She looked at Daniel, who seemed as lost as she felt. Just tonight, she agreed, but one night became 2, then 3. Sarah slept in the guest room, and in the morning, she made pancakes because Emma mentioned she missed weekend pancakes. Daniel came downstairs to find his daughter laughing as Sarah flipped pancakes in silly shapes. You don't have to. Daniel started. I want to, Sarah said. You're giving me shelter. Let me give you this. She started doing small things, cleaning up while Daniel was at work and Emma at kindergarten, making dinner so Daniel didn't have to cook when he got home exhausted, reading Emma bedtime stories in the voices the little girl remembered. In return, Daniel helped Sarah. He made calls to his friends, found her a job interview at a local bookstore. He helped her apply for a new ID for the documents she'd lost. He treated her not like charity, but like a person deserving of dignity. 2 weeks after that snowy night at the bus stop, Sarah sat at Daniel's kitchen table filling out job applications when Emma climbed into her lap. Sarah, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. Do you think you'll stay after you get a job and have money again? Or will you leave like Mommy did? Sarah's heart broke. She turned Emma to face her. Emma, I want you to understand something. What your mother did wasn't because of you. She was struggling with things inside herself that had nothing to do with how wonderful you are. Do you understand? Emma's eyes filled with tears. But she doesn't even call. Doesn't she miss me? I think she's lost right now, Sarah said carefully. Sometimes grown-ups get lost in their own pain and make bad choices. But Emma, that doesn't mean you weren't loved. That doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. Are you lost too? Sarah thought about that. I was, but I think I'm starting to be found. Because a very brave little girl decided to talk to a stranger at a bus stop and remind her that she mattered. Emma hugged her tight. I like having you here. You make Daddy smile. He didn't smile for a long time. That evening, after Emma went to bed, Daniel and Sarah sat in the living room drinking tea. The Christmas tree he'd finally put up twinkled in the corner. I got the job at the bookstore, Sarah said. I start next Monday. That's wonderful, Daniel said, and meant it. Then, hesitantly, have you thought about what happens next? I meant what I said about staying. The guest room is yours as long as you need it. Longer if you want. You've become part of our routine. Emma adores you, and He stopped, seemed to reconsider. We'd miss you if you left. Sarah met his eyes. I've been thinking about that. Daniel, you've given me so much more than a warm bed. You've given me back my sense of worth. You let me contribute, let me matter. You didn't treat me like a charity case. You treated me like family. You are family, Daniel said simply. Emma was right that night. We needed each other. You needed a home, and we needed someone to help us remember what home feels like. 6 months later, Sarah had her own apartment, a promotion at the bookstore, and savings in the bank. But 3 nights a week, she still came to Daniel's house for dinner. She was there for Emma's 6th birthday, for school plays, for the hard nights when the little girl cried for her mother. A year after that snowy night, Sarah and Daniel stood in his kitchen making Thanksgiving dinner while Emma set the table. The little girl had stopped asking when her mother would return. She'd started calling Sarah for help with homework, for advice on friend problems, for goodnight hugs. You know, Daniel said quietly as he chopped vegetables, Emma asked me yesterday if you could be her new mommy. Not to replace her mother, she was very clear about that, but to be the person who's here, who stays, who loves her. Sarah's hand stilled. What did you tell her? I told her that families come in all shapes, that sometimes the people who love us most aren't the ones we're born to, but the ones who choose to stay. He paused. I told her I'd talk to you about it. Sarah turned to face him. Over the past year and a half, something had shifted between them. Friendship had deepened into something more tender, more essential. They'd been taking it slow, careful of Emma's heart and their own. I choose to stay, Sarah said. I choose both of you. I have from the moment Emma took my hand at that bus stop. Daniel smiled, that full smile Emma had said she missed seeing. Then we're very lucky, because we choose you too. Emma appeared in the doorway, grinning. I knew it. I told Daddy that night you were supposed to be our family. I was right. Yes, baby, Daniel laughed, pulling both Sarah and Emma into a hug. You were absolutely right. Sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes a 5-year-old with a red coat and a broken heart sees what adults miss. That healing doesn't come from having all the answers, but from choosing to care anyway. That families aren't always born. They're sometimes built from loneliness and hope and the simple courage to say, you matter to me. And sometimes, on the coldest nights, when we're sure we're completely alone, a small voice reminds us that there's still kindness in the world. Still people brave enough to reach out. Still hope for second chances and new beginnings. All we have to do is be willing to take the hand being offered and believe that we deserve to be found. If this story warmed your heart, please like and share it with someone who believes that family is built on love, not just biology. Subscribe for more stories about unexpected connections and second chances, and comment below about a time when a stranger showed you kindness that changed your life. Your story might give hope to someone who needs to hear it today.